Is the weather outside frightful? Is the fireplace that delightful? Is there no place to go? Do we have snow? The time is 9:32 a.m. and it is December the 1st, 2025. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully everybody is doing well today as we enjoy this nice fresh layer of snow that has fallen since Saturday over much of the Great Lakes region, western Michigan, northern Indiana, eastern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. You can see that a lot of places got a widespread swath of 8 to 12 inches of snow. That's where that orange shade is located at, okay? You see that yellow shade is 6 to 8 inches. So again, I would say the forecast verified pretty well for snowfall across portions of southwest Michigan for sure. And again, the winter storm warning is kind of extended across much of Illinois, northern Indiana, portions of Wisconsin, and then Michigan as well. So good work to the forecasters on this winter storm system that made its way through. Again, it did cause some travel headaches. Thankfully, on our chase that we had on Saturday, there wasn't as many travel impacts that we saw compared to other places. So that's always good news. People are taking care to watch the roads. Be careful on those roads. And again, you're going to want to take care once again because we do have additional systems on the way. And I said systems plural. Yes, the certainty with the systems is low, except for the first one we're going to talk about. So again, we are in an active winter weather pattern, and it's likely going to continue through much of the month. So the first thing we're going to deal with today is we're going to dive into the system that is coming through today, actually, across Indiana and Ohio. Particularly those areas are going to see the most snow with this, and it's further to the south than the widespread snow event that is showing here. It's going to probably focus itself around central Indiana, central Ohio, those places. I'm not really seeing a ton of snow with that, maybe 2 to 4 inches. And again, that's something the Winter Weather Advisory puts out from the National Weather Service for that area also. But it is going to bring some snow and it'll bring some slick roads. So let's talk about it real quick. Okay, Winter Weather Advisory is in effect across portions of Indiana, Ohio, Illinois once again. They might issue some for southern Michigan again too. I know there's a chance of 2 to 4 inches here also. I think it's going to be less than places further to the south based on the latest models. However, if you live in these counties right here, I believe that's Oceana, Ottawa counties, that region, okay, you are going to be dealing with a brunt of yet a more heavy snow. And that also includes areas up near the Mackinac Bridge also. Why, you might ask? Well, the reason why that is due to the fact that we are going to have northwesterly winds or southwesterly winds kind of making their way into across the lake. And it's actually going to be cool enough still to generate lake effect snow. And that lake effect snow is going to focus itself in this particular area, bringing upwards of 6 to 12 inches of snow across this region. That's why the winter storm warnings are in effect, but otherwise a widespread system snow will be occurring further to the south. Let's take a look at how this plays out in the weather models. We'll backtrack it here. This is the HRRR, again, high resolution rapid refresh. You can access this model for yourself, take a look at it. But let's dive right in. And as a reminder, as we go through this, keep in mind that weather models change frequently. They're useful for forecasting, but one model should not be taken as what will certainly happen. We use it for forecasting, and that's about it. It can't be taken at face value every time. However, we can be confident in some snowfall based on this model coming here. Now you can see as we get into later today, you can see that there's already widespread snow starting to form across portions of Missouri. It's going to make its way through there. So yes, Missouri is going to get in on a little bit of the snow. Yay, you're going to see the white stuff. And progressing forward, you can see that as it starts to draw off that moisture to the south, it starts to increase the amount of snow that is over this region. It's probably going to be over the entire state of Illinois by this evening. And then it will cut through portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio overnight tonight. So the timing of this is pretty interesting because, again, it could have some say into how schools respond to it. Will there be school closings? I'm not going to say for certain. I'm personally hoping not for my sake. But I think there is going to be probably more likely school closing across this region here. And then maybe further to the south in areas such as Indiana and Ohio. We'll have to see how things play out with that. You can see that focused band that really does take shape across portions of the western Michigan shoreline. And it really is just slamming that area with a decent brunt of snow as that system makes its way across portions of Indiana and Ohio. This includes Muskegon. It might be just a little bit north of Holland there. So those regions are going to be on the brunt for some good snowfall making its way through. And as you can see, as we get into Tuesday morning, that lake effect snowband starts to dwindle away. It still looks to be a little bit of snow falling in that time. Might shift inland towards southwestern Michigan, our typical snow belt areas, for a brief time, but it's not going to bring much snow there. And then on the backside, we're watching yet another clipper system that could make its way through later on Wednesday. So snow is still settled in. We are not in the nice brunt of winter. The temperatures are not going to waver too much above freezing until we get into at least mid-December. Might even last longer than that. Are you dreaming of a white Christmas? Well, so am I. I hope we get there, because we've been missing out on a lot of white Christmases as of late. But let's take a look at the snow accumulations for present time with this model. And as that swath comes through, you can see that the lake effect snow band starts pretty quick this afternoon and starts dropping snow. You can see that the focused area already of up to 8 inches by the time we get into the evening hours based on this model. Progressing forward, you can see that that snow belt still slams quite a bit of the western Michigan shoreline, with snow accumulations potentially exceeding a foot in some areas based on what the HRRR is showing. Will that happen? It's unknown. But I mean, I would say it's possible that it could occur. And then you can see that there's a focused area in portions of Indiana and Ohio where they get about 2 to 4 inches, just like the winter weather advisory is projecting. But you can see those areas, the Mackinac Bridge, Oceana, Ottawa counties, those regions are getting hit pretty good with some nice lake effect snow. And even the northern fringe of the Keweenaw Peninsula might get a little bit of snow near that Copper Harbor area. Those bands are setting up once again. I would be very impressed to see this much snow in this area with this lake effect snow band. We'll have to see how things play out. I will not be chasing this. Will not be able to. But I think there will be some people out there when it does come through with Michigan Storm Chasers, so you can potentially check that out during that time. Now, that's what's being shown for this system. And again, minor impacts are expected across portions of Indiana and Ohio. Not really going to be too impactful in terms of a snow system. However, if you live in Oceana, Ottawa County area, you guys are going to be dealing with a great deal of snow. And there will likely be some pretty significant impacts to travel in that region. Now, let's look at the longer range, because I was talking about systems with a plural. So that first system moves through. Got that clipper that could make its way through on the day on Wednesday, bring a little bit more snow to the area. And then it seems to just be like a training setup for little clippers coming through and a few low pressure systems. Now, the GFS is playing this a little bit less with the setup, but as you can see, the models are outputting multiple systems making their way through. Whether they show up as rain or snow, that's still in the question. But the fact of the matter is that this is a rather active pattern for any time of the year in particular. But in terms of this time of year, getting snow is more snow and additional snow on top of what we already have is definitely on the table. So it's definitely something to keep in mind that we are not going to be out of this for a little bit. We'll see if we get a December thaw. But right now we are going to be dealing with the cold. If you take a look at the temperatures, which is what we're going to do here, check out these temperatures. They don't really take much of an opportunity to get above freezing, as you can tell, if you're in Michigan. Now, there's one day, it looks like maybe this Saturday, where it gets close to that point. But as you can see, another Arctic air burst makes its way through, brings some pretty cold air into the Great Lakes region. And then we start to see a little bit of warming up, maybe in the middle of into the middle of the month. But this is long range, so we don't want to take this at face value for sure. But we'll have to see how things pan out. Right now, we are in a very cold spike, so to speak. Now, the Euro plays this a little bit differently. You can see that snow system makes its way through. That is that clipper that is being shown later on this week. And then the additional chances for additional opportunities for snow as they make their way through. And then I'm not going to go too much into detail about that because, again, the models are still a little bit longer range. We don't really want to dive in too deep into that. And again, you can see the ridges and troughs and kind of what's contributing to the temperature changes here. Again, We just have a series of troughs kind of making their way through, and we're in a dynamic pattern where cooler Arctic air is being diverted downward, down towards the United States, that cooler air. And then what's being shown here is that a ridge builds in during the middle of the month. We'll see if that does pan out and cause anything. Now again, rough idea of what the models are doing. There's a lot of model differences that are being displayed here on this graphic with regards to snow totals. Now you can see here that the GFS really doesn't put out as much snow for portions of the Great Lakes region compared to the Euro. The Euro definitely puts out a bigger brunt of snow for all the Great Lakes region compared to the GFS. So this is why we're not going too deep into this yet, because there's still a lot that could change up until these series of systems makes their way through. But this first system and then maybe another system later on in the week will bring us some minor snow accumulations. That's pretty much the gist of the message here. Minor snow accumulations, unless you live in that lake effect snow band area where the winter storm warnings are in effect. So just keep that in mind. We will probably roll out another video if another winter storm sets its stage. If the Euro model happens to be saying like, oh yeah, you guys are going to get nailed with lake effect snow again, which is typical Michigan. But we'll see how things play out. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully this video was helpful to you and just getting an idea of what is to come. I'm trying to be a little bit more general with this one here because we still have some things that need to play out first. So stay tuned here. Stay tuned to Michigan Storm Chasers. If something does come up a little bit later on, we may be live storm chasing once again before the end of the year. And then keep an eye out for us December 12th through 14th. Why? I'm not going to tell you just yet, but we will be doing something special during that time frame. So thanks for watching, everybody. Good to chat with you once again. Feel free to leave a comment and just talk about how things are going with you, how much you like in the snow, and let's all dream of a white Christmas.